What? Oh, this.
Hello.
All right. Hello and welcome to the At the CCC podcast.
Where there are no outside issues with Bonnie Violet. Hello, I'm Bonnie Violet. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a trans, femme, genderqueer, spiritual drive artist, digital chaplain, person living with HIV, and covering drug addict, alcoholic.
Nice. My name's Anthony. I'm a 6-year doctoral student in clinical psych. That was my first time reading that line above. And yeah, you guys know. And I care about you.
Each week, we will provide and create a brave space where we engage in conversations around topics of recovery.
Our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery.
By tackling topics sometimes used to separate us.
All
right.
But before we do that, like, subscribe, comment, share, ding that bell.
Ding, so you get notifications. Ding. If you hadn't noticed, we don't have Lulu in here today, so that's why we got a little clumsy. Right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and the other thing you probably noticed is that I'm not very good at following directions because Bonnie Violet definitely coached me before the show started, literally seconds before.
It was like seconds before.
It was seconds before, and I totally forgot that
It's all good. You did well. I've been doing it for a long time, and I still fumble them up.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. So Lulu's not here with us today.
I know. I'm sad about it. But we wish you well. I think Lulu said he was going to be like on the stream with us, so maybe he'll say hello.
Lulu's sick and he does not have COVID.
Right.
So how have you been, Bonnie Violet?
I've been fairly well. It's been 2 weeks now in the Bay. I've been spending all my time in Oakland. Yeah. Which has been kind of nice. We had a beautiful weekend.
Who's we?
The sun was out. I mean, we, like us.
The state of California.
Yes. Anywhere there was sun.
That's good. Why are you in Oakland and not San Francisco?
Because I'm staying with my drag daughter.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know you had a drag daughter.
I have a few.
Oh, so you're a drag.
I know. I need a drag mom now.
You don't have a drag mom.
Or a drag father or a drag parent.
You're a drag orphan.
I never had one. I like immaculate concept. No, how would it happen?
Divine and
asexual reproduction. I don't know. I just happened.
So you're a seahorse.
Oh, there's that too. Yeah. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. Just so many things. What do I want to share? What's worth, or what am I willing to share? I don't think there's anything I'm willing to share.
How's your sleep?
My sleep's a lot better. So I'm on trazodone, which I take for sleep. And if I forget to take it, or if I take it too late, I'll probably get like 3 or 5 hours of sleep. So really, it's about getting home and to bed at a reasonable hour.
7.
Yeah.
You do 7.
I start to transition into sleep by 7. I want to be kind of like by 7:30, and then I want to be knocked out by 9 p.m.
Right. I think that's a good segue into our topic.
I don't think it is. Oh, I see what you're saying. I said too much.
Yeah. No, I'm just teasing.
Oh, you're not. So today's topic is say less, listen more, and basically today's topic is centered around how can we show up for people that we care about? And similarly, or likewise, how can we also show up for those people that we don't necessarily care for, right? So that's the top. Ooh, yeah. You made a face. Why did you make a face?
No, I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a tough one.
It's sometimes hard to show up for the people that you do like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it is sometimes hard. I think, gosh, there's so much to talk about here. So there were a couple things that I came across that I thought were really interesting. So I was curious about what are some theories about when language was created? Because many years ago, I heard someone say that the first tool humans ever created, or hominins ever created, was speech. That was the first tool we ever had. But then there's some theories. There's this one theory, it's called the technological hypothesis, that says that we first communicated in gestures. And that because we started using tools, we needed language. So we had gestures first, then we had tools, and then we needed to say, hey, can you cut this with this tool? Or hit that monkey with this rock, or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder how much like books and writing really played into that. Because if you're face to face with someone, I mean, because not everyone can speak.
Right. And we didn't have written language until, I think, written language, if I remember correct. Well, actually, our first written language was like Mesopotamia, and it was on those It wasn't the. It was.
The
It's
hieroglyphics?
not the hieroglyphics. It was. Fuck, I forget. But it's not the hieroglyphics. Not Rosetta Stone. It was in Mosaic. It was basically it was like the first language ever recorded. Yeah.
Okay.
I should have been prepared to talk about that one. Brandon is
okay.
making a face because Brandon is not very supportive.
I know, it's like, and I think that's a good place to say that we are not experts on anything really.
No.
So don't hold us accountable to any programs or, we don't speak on behalf.
I'm not a linguist.
Yeah, we just share our thoughts.
Yeah, sometimes I Google things.
Yeah. Well, in line with the topic, like I have had a lot of opportunities this week.
To say less?
I've kind of been, I think I've been on the other end where it's like, I've had some situations where I just wanted the person to listen and they just would not stop. I'm going through like a move, a transition. I've been really having a hard time emotionally and mentally with a lot of things, just feeling overwhelmed financially, housing, and just all kinds of things. And I had a conversation, and I won't put her on blast, but I had a conversation with a friend of mine or a family member friend of mine who she just kept like, I was like, hey, like I'm really just not in a good spot. Like I'm just really overwhelmed by these things. And it was just like, well, have you done this? Did you do this? You just gotta, like it'll be all, and I was like, I think I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And I had another friend too that was just, and I know people are just eager and they just want to help. I know that it can be really hard just to listen, to not try to fix it by like, saying the right thing or not saying it, you know what I mean? So I think she in particular was just really nervous and trying to be helpful, but didn't really know. And I think she even got the social cue that was like, girl, you better stop.
Yeah.
But she just kept going.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. I'm really sorry. It sounded like you just needed someone to listen to you and bear witness.
Yeah. And I was able to be like, hey girl, I gotta go. And I was able to go to the right person to hold that space for me right afterwards.
Yeah. I think, what do I think? I think that there are a lot of questions that we have answers for that we never say out loud. And so I think one of those questions is like, what is communication for? Like, why do we talk to other people? Yeah. And in my experience, some people enter into conversations with like, they're always listening for what they can say. Right. So in that case, that person's unanswered or the answer to that question to them might be, oh, it's an opportunity for me to share about myself.
Right.
Where other people might enter into a conversation thinking like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to learn more about this other person. Personally, I feel like I was probably a horrible listener for a really long time. Yeah. I don't think I started to learn how to listen until I started graduate school, where like in the first year, they basically tell you like, you don't need to talk all the time and you need to like listen. Yeah. But like really listen, right? Like, I think one of the best pieces of advice I got was like, before you sit down in front of someone who's like seeking your help, you have to like empty yourself out so that all you are is this kind of like vessel taking things in.
Well, and I think another big thing to do too is because we're all a little different too. And there are sometimes when we like go to people and we want them to say shit. So I think that's the other part, is just like being able to, if you're a person who's about to share or would love somebody to hear what you're going through, then let them know like, hey, I don't want any advice, like, but I just need somebody to hold this space for me. Yeah. Or if it is or if you're on the other end of that, you might ask the person, like after they vomit everything that's going on, you'd be like, would you like some advice, or would you like me to say anything? Or, you know what I mean? So I think those are also skills that I developed over time too. Cause when you said you were a bad listener, and I was like, I didn't mean that as in you, as in like, I related to that aspect of like, I had that experience too. Yeah. How did you, and you said you gained those skills?
My first year of grad school.
Grad school?
Yeah. Also, I think maybe not even grad school. I think I had enough conversations with people where I'm like, ugh, I hate this feeling you're producing in me.
Yeah, I feel like I've had a lot of opportunity. I didn't like go to school in the way that you're going to school, but I feel like I learned a lot around holding space for people in HIV testing counseling sessions. I used to did that. I've tested thousands of people and trained people. And, it's like a lot of, I think, really good conversations. If you're the listener, you should be speaking less than the other, which I know that makes sense. Like that kind of seems obvious, but it can be really hard to do. So sometimes that's like a tool that I use. It's like, am I talking more than they are?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's similar to what you said a second ago. My sponsor, whenever I call and I'm just kind of like, blah, they'll always respond with, do you want me just to listen or do you want to hear what I think?
Right.
Which is such a gift,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think that requires a lot of restraint and self-awareness. It also makes me think about how people enter into arguments,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think it's really similar. Did someone just message in?
No, I was just.
Oh, okay. It makes me think of how people enter into an argument, right? Like you can enter into an argument and there can be a winner or a loser, right? And then, or you can enter into an argument where you have two people presenting truth as they understand it. You combine those truths and then you have like a higher truth, which is also kind of like, I think that's something I like learned along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for me to have that type of conversation, I really have to divorce myself from all the things about myself that I'm committed to, right? Because I think for some people, what they say, they're like identified with.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's not necessarily about giving the best advice, but it's about presenting yourself in the best way possible,
Right.
like all knowing or knowledgeable.
Yeah. It can be so tough
To what?
to just kind of like, I think to be on either end of that, you know, and it's like there, I don't think there's always like a one size fits all kind of situation too. And that's one thing that I think happens with time and like the more experience you have, like working with more people in different scenarios and situations, you can kind of gauge that because there were probably plenty of times that like, I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to communicate how you can be a good listener, right? Or what I needed from you because I just lacked the like, whether it was the emotional intelligence or the whatever to be able to like, I don't even know what my problem is. I don't know what I need, but not really being able to say that either. And then just having so much resistance to hearing anything from anyone else really.
Yeah, I find like that the older I get, I like want to say a lot less because I'm like, I can't, like my friend she's currently dating someone and she's like head over heels over him. And I'm like, girl, what do I tell you? Like, you're losing your mind. Like, sure, I get it. We've all like, no one has made like, people have been falling in love since people could like see each other and we haven't figured it out. And it's been thousands of years. There's nothing I'm going to tell you that's going to make that like a simpler experience. But the very best that I can do is like, yeah, I get it. I see you. I've been there, you know?
Yeah. What I can agree with that. I feel like some of it is like when we're younger, like, you know, you think you got it all figured out.
Yeah.
And I think at some point I just got beat down enough to be like, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what's best for me barely most of the time. And so,
yeah.
But I think that's also why, like, in particular, you know, like the places we hang out as far as recovery goes, there's kind of the idea of like, I totally lost my.
Doesn't that suck? I hate that so much.
Are you contagious? There's usually
I'm definitely contagious, undetectable, but still contagious.
But still contagious. Oh, there's Lulu.
What did Lulu
look
say?
Lovely today.
Oh, how are you feeling,
it's
Lulu?
My moisturizer. I put it on fresh before the show.
Yeah, you know, this is I just want to invite people listening in, chime in. Have you had like an experience where you really liked, you felt seen, heard, someone was listening to you, or tell about an experience you had where you're like, I am probably never going to tell this person anything again. You know, for example, I know, so I love my mom, love her to death, love my mom. I know that I cannot go to her with something I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Because my mother's super protective. So I think
like pee in your Cheerios
all the time. It like just this cloud and just rains all over everything. I remember once I told her that I wanted to study in Puerto Rico for a summer or something like that. And she goes, oh, sorry. That's probably my mom.
That was rough.
Yeah, she's alive. Yeah.
She's like, watch your mouth.
She's like, watch. Maybe I shouldn't finish that statement. But basically, she says to me, she's like,
what does she say to you?
She calls me Tony. She goes, Tony, violence is so bad there. you don't want to go to Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, Mom, but I've thought about this, you know, and she's like, oh, you know, well, I just send you my blessings. You make your own decisions. And it's like, oh man, I was so excited about this, but now I'm paranoid.
Yeah, about going to Puerto Rico.
I mean, I haven't gone to Puerto Rico.
We're talking to your mom.
Yeah, no, I'm like, she like introduces paranoia in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Right. So it's kind of like somebody can actually like make it worse.
Yeah. Like I think earlier we were talking about like who you take things to. So I noticed that I have to be careful not to take something to someone that I know is going to co-sign my shit. You know what I mean? So if I know I'm wrong in a situation, but I want to be like convinced that I'm not wrong, I have my friend Jeffrey is a sweetheart. He lives in New York City. He's probably listening. And Jeffrey will co-sign my bullshit. Like I can be like, blah, 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 blah. And I hate him. And he'll say, I hate him too. And I'm like, but he's such a nice guy. And he'll go, then he's a great guy. But it's like, I thought there was another person over there. Teresa is in the audience today. Teresa's our special guest. She's just hanging out back there.
We have a live audience today.
Hi, Teresa. She nodded.
She's like, I don't have a microphone.
So let's go back. So can you tell me like what you were talking about? Well, maybe we can talk about, but you were talking about like that bad experience you had. Can you think of an experience that was especially positive?
Yeah. I mean, I think even just directly after that, I was able to kind of like, because part of it was, so I was able to like immediately afterwards, I was able to, I'm staying with my drag child and he was coming home and I was like, I know that he could like hold this space for me, and so I was able to just be like, I really don't know what's going on with me, but I'm like paralyzed at times where it's like I just can't leave the house, I can't like whatever, and just being able to just like process and spit some things out, and he just kind of listened. And I think the big thing, because we were talking about language, but I think it being verbal, but I think like the biggest things for me was that he was like super attentive. He was sitting in the chair. He was across from me. He wasn't super close to me, but still very much kind of in my space and, in a non-threatening way, sitting very open, not arms closed, that sort of thing. It didn't really speak too much except for maybe just to ask more like questions, like just like either clarifying questions or just to kind of help bring out more of kind of like where I was going with something.
Yeah, I hear that. That's what I like about all of that is that they're like the unspoken thing there is that you were really trusting, like you trusted. Yeah, which is that's something I definitely struggle with. I'm sorry, I keep like moving shit and the mics are moving and I'm dropping shit. I'm sorry, everyone. One of the things I struggle with is and I think I've said this before, is like trusting how I feel or trusting or like what I'm thinking. And it's always, I think someone chimed in, but I think for me, it's always what's always in the back of my mind is like, I'm afraid of someone doing something that feels good and then disappointing me. So I feel like a lot of the times when I'm trying to be vulnerable, I'll struggle and I kind of retreat when I feel like a person is like showing up for me. And I think that, I feel that there's so much in that, right? And that's something that I've been working through in recovery is just like learning how to be vulnerable and like learning the right time to be vulnerable. I had this boss when I worked at this one hospital. Jimmy, we'll get to you in a second. When I was working in this hospital, and she said, Anthony, some people are not deserving of your vulnerability. Like they're just not in a position where they can have that kind of conversation with you. And I think that was hard to hear because I thought, well, like vulnerability is the key to all connection or all communication. And now I'm fucking quoting Brene Brown. Shit.
Yeah, it always comes back.
It always comes back to Brene Brown and Gloria Stefan. So let's go. So what did Jimmy say? Jimmy said, sorry, we're so loud. Oh, Jimmy's in the cafe. So for those of you just listening, the cafe's in the other room. And so Jimmy's apologizing for being really loud. I can't hear you. What did Lulu just say?
Lulu says, if you don't listen, how can you possibly figure out what the children need?
Who are the children, Lulu?
Well, just whoever you're teaching, right? Whoever you're showing up for.
If you don't listen, how can you?
Girl.
Pause it. I know. I just had to read it again. It just sounds cryptic. It sounds cryptic.
No, it's definitely is colloquial.
No, I know. I get it. I'm totally colloquial term. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God. No, I mean, yeah. The great point, Lulu.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is somewhat kind of related, but one of the things that one of the prayers that I've really been working on lately or been really needing to access is the set aside prayer. Are you familiar with that? And I think that can be something that can be helpful when you're going into a situation like this, whether you're on either side of it. If you're a person who prays or cast spells or whatever you do, the set aside prayer is just like, there is some 12-step jargon in it, but basically the idea is just like set aside. Yeah, I did get it right, Lulu. Set aside prayer is like, please set aside anything I think I know about God, about the program. I can say like about this situation, about myself, about like whatever, so that I can really be kind of open to the idea of something outside of what I've already like figured out for myself, because what I've figured out or what I've done for myself has got me where I've gotten, and where I've gotten is not where I want to be. So it can be really hard. For me, it's really helpful just to set that attention and be like, okay, like I don't know. I don't know some things, and I need to be able to have the space to receive that. And prayer always helps with that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Like, just to kind of like, when you like, for me, prayer, it just kind of slows everything down. Just slows everything down enough to where I can like, just get in the right place with things.
Yeah. You're making me think of how in the 11th step, that basically listening is embedded in the 12 steps and the 11 steps specifically around meditation, where there's actually space in 12-step programs where and even in refuge recovery, meditation is a big part of their program.
In a lot of religious traditions.
It's
definitely a big thing. Jimmy Strano says, set aside all judgment so I can become more accepting. So you can receive.
Very nice, Jimmy. Very nice.
Right? Very well said.
Very well said.
We miss you, Lulu.
Speak for yourself.
I mean, oh, wow. Okay.
Lulu hasn't been gone enough for me to miss.
I miss Lulu.
Okay. No, I miss you too.
Lulu's a nice buffer between us.
Yeah, she is a nice buffer.
Yes.
Between us.
Yes. Us and our pronouns. I feel like my pronouns have been all over the place today.
Oh, me?
No, and Lulu's been referred to like every pronoun under the book during this episode.
Oh my God. I feel like that's another episode.
Yeah. I think Lulu's good with it though.
Yeah. I don't even know what to do with any of that.
I don't know what to do with that either.
But I was thinking about where is Lulu is home and does not have COVID.
Yes.
Okay. So I was thinking about how communication was first modeled to you or me. Like, were you in a household where like children were? Oh no, you wouldn't pass that one.
No, that's fine.
Hot potato. Were you in a household where like kids were seen and not heard?
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely a lot of unspoken things. I was definitely, it's like, do as I say, not as I do. My father was definitely that way, and he would even say that, So there's definitely a lot of that. But you know how it is, like. I was in, my dad was an active addict, alcoholic. So, what that creates, and everything centered around my dad and my dad's behavior. What was dad's mood? And that was kind of what, everything revolved around, and it was always very, I think the communication was really hard for me because it was hard to really, I feel like I tried to get good at like understanding what I needed to do in order to like be in a good place with my family, but it just, there was no rhyme or reason to it. One day I could do something and the next day I did the exact same thing and it pissed him off or whatever, So I think communicating or understanding really became challenged for me.
I hear that. I have a response. It looks like Lulu said a couple things. When I heard, other
Lulu
comments
says
coming.
I'll answer to all the pronouns.
When I heard this topic, it brought to mind the importance of waiting till it's elicited before you offer your advice, opinion, and thoughts, even when you believe that they are helpful.
Yeah, unsolicited
advice. Yeah,
it's the worst.
I hate when people run. I think that this is what you were saying earlier. I hate when people rush to solutions. Like, you should, and it's like, don't you think I went through?
Yeah, that's what was happening with my
my
friend. the other day.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, just coming up with all these solutions, and it's like, girl.
Yeah, I get that. Growing up, there were a lot of secrets in my family. My mom, I actually had this conversation with my aunt a while ago. So my mom, there was a need to keep secrets, right? Like my mom had to keep secrets in order to survive, and so that was essentially then imparted on me and the rest of my family. And a couple years ago, I was talking to my aunt, and it was the first time in my life someone outside of my head was acknowledging, like, we have so many secrets, we need to knock this shit off. Like, we need to just start talking about things out in the open.
Right.
And it made me think about all the things that I kind of keep secret. So, which, circling back to sobriety and talking about communication and saying less and listening more, about the things that I think are secrets that are actually things that I need to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Which almost everything you're going through needs to be spoken to somebody.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because I think, that we're only as sick as our secrets, and it's dangerous to share those secrets, right, in certain situations and scenarios. So I think the discernment of who to is crucial.
Yeah, that's all. I think going back to this idea of connection, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or there's more recovery under my belt, but I'm noticing that I have a deeper, stronger need for authentic connection, which doesn't also necessarily happen in conversation. I think one of the newer things is I can share endeared silence with people that I feel comfortable with. If I can just be in a room with someone and not do anything.
Right. And you're still holding that space.
Yeah, you're still holding space. And there's still kind of like, I don't want to be fucking hokey, but there's still like a form of communication that's happening in that situation. Because sometimes you don't need to say anything.
Yeah. I think one of the actions that kind of came to mind too was later on in that conversation with the person that was a little bit better skilled at like showing up for me. They also, like, I reached a point where I started crying.
I'm listening to you.
And kind of a little uncontrollably. And like, he held me, he asked me, which I think is important too, because touch can be a really weird thing for folks, especially like in those times. So I think that was helpful too, that he was like I said, like he said more to me in hugging me while I cried than like, do you know what I mean? Like
I do, yeah.
Than any other action or any other thing
you
could do.
Yeah.
Lulu says closed. Oh wait, there's first a circle of wisdom that could include your sponsor, definitely. And closed mouthed individuals who can reserve judgment. Yeah. And I think also, because I think we all have to share, I think there's also a level of understanding that person is probably going to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
And you just have to trust that they're going to talk to somebody that they trust, and I think that happens a lot in recovery, because I know as a sponsor, like, I don't know what the fuck most of the time. And so I often have to go to my sponsor because of my sponsees going through the situation and be like, hey, there's da-da-da-da. And there are times when like there's details and specifics that don't need to be shared, but sometimes, there's a little bit of that I think is just going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to set yourself up to be hurt if you expect anything different.
Yeah. Expectations breed resentments.
Yeah. I got like stuck on this, and just in relation to that, I got stuck in this, have you ever seen the show Parenthood?
No.
It's like a older show, but kind of like, have you seen This Is Us? No. It's kind of like in that vein, but further. It's like those family dynamics kind of situations. And there was just constantly over and over where it's like, okay, don't tell dad, or don't tell my sister, don't whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody knows already.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, why even?
Yeah.
But there was also one of the things I noticed is they just kind of knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there are some times when it's like, okay, I'm going to tell this person and they're going to tell other people, and that's okay. And that's a form of me getting it out.
Yeah. I heard someone said to me, well, there's that one joke, a secret is safe between three people if two of them are dead.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it was kind of grim.
That reminds. Never mind. I can't say that joke.
All right, don't say it.
It's insensitive.
I just forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry about it.
No, I was saying, you know what I was going to say is like, I feel really manic. I feel like I've been manic for the last 30 minutes. And also I was thinking like we can make this very ASMR if we like drink.
Our audience hasn't consented to that. Don't you think trigger warning? There might be moments of ASMR activity in the next
Brandon just face palms.
He's like, not ASMR.
I'm sorry.
Lulu says, yes, love both shows. Okay, thank you, Lulu. At least Lulu knows those shows. And
we all need someone to co-sign our shit. We all need someone to
co-sign.
I don't know what I'm saying.
I see.
So I think we're down in the last 15 minutes.
We are. There's still 15 minutes.
And then there are 15 minutes. I think that's like, I'm like getting nervous.
Are you? Like all of a sudden, I know, huh?
Yeah, I think it's the meds.
It could be they kicking in.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. Again, another invitation to people listening in. Any experiences you're having with Anthony?
Anthony is
shady as hell. What are you talking about?
Well, we
what
could
it, don't even. Well, if you mention that, what
are
you even talking about, Lulu?
Oh, well, it all started with why she's not here. You're like, either way, shade.
Don't put a circle around something you don't want people to listen to.
Right.
You just put the circle.
I agree with you, Lulu.
I don't particularly think I'm shady. Going back to, I guess we
say
all
less.
can. Yeah, say less, listen more. Yeah. So I'm in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you? Can I ask you that?
I'm no longer in therapy. I had to let go.
Oh, that's right.
I had to let go of my therapist. Wasn't it just a choice? I had to. Finance.
Got
it.
How
that goes.
No, I do know how
Anyways,
that goes.
You're in a therapy.
Yeah, so I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy I've been in therapy for most of my life. Mm-hmm. And I've had these experiences with my therapist where I stop talking because I think I'm talking too much. And she'll be like, Anthony, that's what we do here. Like, this is what we do here. And then there are times where in the very beginning, I don't do this anymore, but I would start like, you jump in and you're like, how are you? Like those pleasantries. And I would say, how are you to her? And then she would respond, and then I would respond. And then I feel like obligated to talk about her day.
Yeah. Well, it's hard.
It feels really ironic.
It's hard to have one-sided like conversations, and I think that's something to kind of think about too. I think, and that might be where some of that anxiety comes in that say less, listen more. It's just that idea that like, ooh, this person just shared all this with me, right? And so it feels like you need to like balance it out or something like that. I feel like that could be where some of the anxiety comes from. Yeah,
I think, no, for sure. I think the other thing that brings me anxiety is that I'm like a natural, how you ever hear that expression, there are gardeners and there are flowers? No.
Yes.
Yeah, you have, right? So for people listening in, the idea is that you have some people that like to be attended to, and then you have people who like to attend to other people. And I feel like I'm just a natural gardener. I just like taking care of people that I care about. And so because I spend and it's my profession. And so because I spend so much time in that headspace, I feel very guilty when I do talk to people. And I'll pause myself and I'll notice myself doing things that I don't want to do, like apologizing for like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to dump on you, or, and they're friends, right? Just trying to be friends. Right. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, this is too much. Why don't you tell me about you? Or, and then I'll also put like brackets in my conversations. I'll say, this is the last thing I'll say. You know what I mean? Right. As opposed to,
can flowers garden or gardeners flower?
I'm sure.
Yeah. Like I feel like.
Yeah, I don't like think
we could be more versed.
Yeah. Yeah, we could be verse gardener.
It's not like
flowers.
A hard one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much learning to be had there. I think that's just one of the things that I'm working on now, is like being okay with people showing up for me. In fact, I think I started doing that with you and Lulu.
Oh,
like it started. Yeah, that was like when we were talking about my ex, and I was like so devastated. Blah 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 blah. I think that was like maybe the first time I had one, talked about something so publicly, and then two, allowed friends to show up for me.
Right.
Which was very difficult.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the things that I kind of like about this podcast or other podcasts. It's like, oftentimes, like this is all shit that goes on in my head anyway.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to have a space to kind of like be able to process things a little out loud and kind of get them out there. And, oftentimes to kind of like frame a conversation in a certain light can be like really helpful too. What are we saying?
They're saying we have 10 minutes left.
Oh, thank God. Oh, no, just joking. Lulu says, what's your advice for the folks who listen more and talk less? This, of course, is assuming that the person has not reached enlightenment yet.
Or are we talking about Jesus? Buddha, where did enlightenment come from? This, of course, is assuming that the person has not reached enlightenment yet. What's your advice?
Not all of us are chatty.
Oh, well, I think that's the thing, right?
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, I think some of that is, well, the question is the other end that Lulu was asking for. But my first thought is like one of the things about being a good listener, if you're with somebody who's not super chatty, is being able to pull that out of them. So whether that's questions or sometimes letting there be silence, because that can also serve as a tool in allowing that other person that may not be super chatty to kind of like get themselves to a space they can chat. You might also be able to transfer that anxiety to them.
Mm-hmm. I'm burping too.
So that they speak up. I know. It's like we both still have so.
Well, we have to stop drinking carbonated things when we're on there.
I will never do it. I quit drugs. I quit
and carbonation.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can quit bubbly drinks before.
Yeah, that's fair.
Podcast.
That's fair. I wanted to respond to what you said. God, I think, the listening, the kind of pulling things out from other people.
Yeah.
I have these two, maybe I need to reassess who I'm friends with, because I am always surprised when people ask me questions about myself or like take an interest, or like I show up with like an issue and there's like follow-up questions and there's interest. And there are two friends in particular who do this for me. And I always feel like, when are you gonna say gotcha, like when is someone gonna use this against me? And wow, I mean, I think I always knew I was a little paranoid, but I didn't think I was this paranoid.
Trust.
Oh, I have trust issues.
Yeah. I was like, I can concur, or I can agree with that.
That you have trust issues?
I've experienced your trust issues.
Oh, it's so bad.
I mean, I have them too. But
Yeah.
But yeah,
Are you saying my trust issues are more pronounced than yours?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm kidding.
I mean,
it doesn't matter.
You and I, we've been in a relationship for a while, and we've had different
couple
experiences.
Years.
And I think it's taken a little bit more time, I think, to get your trust. I feel like that's been something.
This just got real.
Well, I think that's just the truth of it. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
And also one of the things is I know that you struggle to trust. So I also don't have to take that personal. It can be hard to be on the other end of that sometimes, but I can also, so the first time it hurt like hell. We've had these conversations, but now it's like sometimes those things can come up, and it's like, oh, I know what's going on here. Like things will be okay in a minute,
So are you then saying that I have your like unconditional trust?
You have my trust?
Yeah, like, because you're saying that we're talking about trust, right? And how much of my trust is available to you. And so am I to then interpret that I have your you trust me unconditionally?
I do trust you.
Oh, interesting.
I trust that you care about me, that you are not setting out to hurt me or harm me. And I think you're really good at, like, even when it's like I think you're very honest, even when it might not sound good or like feel good to me, which I can find, like, I like that. I appreciate that, especially once I was able to kind of get that. So yes, I trust you unconditionally. And even through that doesn't mean you're not going to hurt me. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be wrong. That doesn't mean that you're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can at the end of the day be like, no, Anthony's good. Like, we're good. I know Anthony has the best interests for me, and I do for him. And so yeah, I do trust you.
Are you proposing to me?
I'm not proposing.
I really appreciate that. I feel like there should be a part 2 of that conversation, because we have 5 minutes left.
Enough?
Well, no, I mean, I think there's just so much there that I would like to talk about, not like process out loud like we're in therapy, but Just
Should I not trust you? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
you should trust me. I think I'm really trustworthy now that I'm sober. Was not trustworthy when I was drinking or using.
There's a part 2.
Yes, a
What would
part
we
two.
title it? What would
Or
we
retitle it.
Trust getting married.
Yeah, trust getting married. The benefits of Lulu not being here.
Right. The accidental proposal.
No, I kid. I love you. I miss you. There was somebody else who just said something. Oh, I didn't see this name come in before.
Sumerian. This is from Castro Country.
No, this person. Oh, this was the thing that I was citing. Wait.
Sumerian is the oldest attested written language. It was used by the people of Sumer in southern Mesopotamia and is an isolate language, which means it's not related to any other existing language. Yeah, thank you.
Brandon, did you just look that up? Yeah, Brandon just looked that up. Thank you. See, we use Google. We're not linguists. So with the last 5 minutes we have, what should we tell folks?
I know. Well, we have a lot of things to say, but if you have an idea for a title for the part 2, that would be cute.
Yeah.
So the Castro Country Club is a clean and sober gathering place for all people and a home for the queer recovery community. We endeavor to be a space where all can seek wisdom, serenity, courage, and joy. And you can learn more about the podcast and the Castro Country Club at the castrocountryclub.org website. They have a new website too, so check it out. The link is in the description.
Where are you reading that from?
Just like over here, plus some from my head.
And how can people get a hold of you?
So get a hold of me personally.
Yeah.
You can reach me at aqueerchaplain.org or a queer chaplain on all of the socials: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah.
No OnlyFans.
No OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But you do send face pics. I mean, feet pics.
Feet
pics.
Oh yeah, that was another episode. Huh?
Yeah, there was another episode. Before I talk about my Instagram that now has 2 pictures on it, I wanted to publicly welcome our new intern. We just brought someone on, a graduate student from USC. His name is Aaron, and we're really excited to work with him. We had our first meeting with him the other day.
Yes,
so just wanted to welcome Aaron. And you can get a hold of me on Instagram at alucasccc on Instagram. I have 2 photos on there. If you have pictures of me, you want to tag me, you can do that. Right.
And if you want to send a lovely get well message to Lulu, you can do that at LouisLou86 on Instagram. Again, the link is in the description or on the screen.
Yeah.
Now.
And and if there's also our speak pipe.
What's that?
I don't know what it is. I do know that the speak pipe, or is that, do you put an article before the speak pipe? Speak pipe is basically this thing. The Facebook. Cara libro. So the speak pipe, you call it, there's a number. I don't know what the number is. Maybe it's on here.
The link is in the description.
The link is in the description. You leave us a message. You can say whatever the hell you want to say. You want to tell us about your day, you can tell us about your day. If you want to tell us about a topic, tell us about a topic. Some rumination or thought that came up for you during an episode, just pour it in there. Yeah, we won't even say your name if you don't want us to say your name. Right. Don't tell us your name.
Or we could use the audio.
If you want to
bring it onto the screen, so that adds like a whole nother dimension. I mean, that's what I would love.
Yeah, I would love that. Like something we
voice message
and then we could respond to them. Right. So
I think it could be cute. You could also email us at podcast@castrocountryclub.org for anything and everything. Join us each week at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Facebook or YouTube Live, or listen to afterwards anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Also, let us know if you think we should start an ASMR channel.
Yeah, I will have nothing to do with that. That's something you'll have to do on YouTube.
Have you ever watched them? They're so weird. They do things like...
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, they're not my thing.
They do, like, they have all these, like, all the ASMR people, they have like very specific noises they make.
My grandma used to always tell me, my grandma Violet, she used to always tell me, don't smack or girls won't like me. And ASMR is just a bunch of
they do things like...
No, I'm sorry, I'm not yucking yum. That's just how I experience it.
And now I just want to make noises until...
All right, now we get to say goodbye, because we're at 44 minutes and 29 seconds. All right.
Love you guys.
See you next week.
See you next week.